press start. So one of the other questions we had was on reports. So if I go and create a report, so I can create a report. I've got quite a bit of information now in my customers and my bookings table. So I'm going to create, I'm going to go and create a report wizard. The report wizard is pretty ugly, but we're going to go and have a look, and we're going to say, okay, so I'm going to do customer, all of the fields from customer, and we'll have bookings as well. So from the tables, all of the fields from there. And finish. And one of the things it does is, first of all, it always just kind of goes, oh, we'll go for portrait and we'll just put it up. And it very rarely shows you anything to begin with. So when you first get a report, you get things like this. You can see here, I've got customer ID. It doesn't even show me the full name of this field. F name and S name, which is not the politest way of putting it. Looking ID, that looks like. You can't even read it properly. And then this one, which is so squished up, you can't even read it. And these fields kind of go off, and there's more here. So we want it to be a little bit nicer than this. So let's go and have a look, and we can see that Harry's made a few bookings and things, but it's not a polite report. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So in our report, we're going to close it off for a second, and we're just going to go into reports here, and we can close these sections down, remember. So you can close these down so you've only got open, so you've got tables, queries, so you've only got open what you're playing with. Rather than getting, once you start building up, it can be quite messy. So we're going to go into our report, and we're going to go to design view. And when we look at this overall, you can pick up the selection, and you've got lots of different things within here and different things that we can pull up on. If I click on here, it allows me to drop down for all of the different elements of it. So if I look into here, I can see that I've probably got several things in here that I can change. I'm just looking to see if I've got page orientation. So left to right, that's not what I'm looking for. No, we'll go for. Okay, so that's where it's pulling all the information out here. So you can see the select statement, which we're going to be doing in SQL. And I think of it. But what I'm going to do is from here, I'm just going to start basically. First thing I noticed that I didn't really have enough room, so I'm going to make it a bit bigger. And just by doing that straight away, if I go to report view, you can see I've got more room on here. So it might mean that I need to make it rather than portrait, that I'm making landscape, depending on what information I've got on there. Go back to design view. The next thing is I've got here cust ID. So in the header, so you can see here are the data fields, and these get repeated for each one. So you can see that it's for customer, and then this detail for each customer. So if one customer's got 19 bookings, this will repeat 19 times for that one customer and then back to here. So it's almost like a loop within a loop. So looping through all the customers. The customer ID was quite a small field, and their first name and surname, which is probably okay, but I can make them bigger and smaller as I want to. In here, where it says customer ID, that's just, it's just customer ID. It doesn't show anything on there. So here I can change that in two places. So in here, the name is customer ID label. But here I could just put in my caption, I can just change it to cus ID there. Or even just ID, because that would probably just be clearer for that. I don't want to use ID in the database because then every table will start with ID. But that would be fine for that. And then I can move it over, so it's kind of over the number. Look at these, the other one, so booking ID. So again, well, booking ID is probably okay. I just need to make that a little bit bigger so you can read it. And then date. Date was way too small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally just grab these, if you can, and move these over. So I'm going to use my arrows on my keyboard just because otherwise I end up pulling them up and down all over the place. And the dates, so I'm going to change that to booking date. And I'm going to, again, try and select it. Use my arrow keys to move it over. Space it out a little bit more. So we know that this one didn't even give enough room. There's not enough room in there to show the date. So I need to make this one a lot bigger. Probably not that bigger, but I can play with it then. And make sure that these are F name, and again, F name is a bit rude, so forename. and surname. So I can click in the field here and change it, or I can click in here. So you can see here the name is where it's the name of that label. It's pulled it directly. The data is from the database, but the label, it's got a caption, and that's just the wording that's on there. So at the minute I've changed that to surname. So that makes it a lot more polite. And then again, these should be okay. But because I've used the lookups, I've got these in here, which are so I think I can. Let me just try it on there for a second. See where we're up to first. Right click and let's just go for double click it. So now we've got the information. It's a lot easier to read. We've cleaned it up a little bit. I can see these numbers are that's way too big for that number, but I can change that, and I can need to change this one. I can put some spacing in here, but just for the headings, ID, forename, surname looks much more polite. Booking ID is fine. I can line them up a little bit more. So let's go and have a look at see what else I want to do. So design view. So again, so seat number here. At the minute, that's right aligned and it's right up against seat type. So let's see if we can change that. So let's have a look at the format. And we've got on here, got to find it now. So looking for text align and general. So let's just make that center. Seat type was fine. And this one, I couldn't read what it said. So let's go and have a look. So bookings custom ID. Well, actually, I don't need that because it's under here, custom ID. So actually, I can get rid of this one. So this one, I'm just going to delete along with its relevant data. I'll probably bring this back in a bit as well. You can see now at the bottom, I've got the footings here and the header, just these things in here. I can add some more spaces in here just to make it more polite. Seat number. I'll put a full stop on it. Seat type. The little things, but the subtlety of how much politer it looks when you've got things in here with spaces rather than just kind of squished up and using your field names from the database are very rarely polite to use for the user. So that should be all right for there. And again, yeah, and I'm quite happy with that. What I might want to do is on here, it kind of goes onto this person as well rather quickly. So there's records. If I did the same several bookings for one person, you'd see this a bit better with the breakup. And the more data you've got in here, the better your reports will look. But there's one last thing I can go and have a look at doing design view. And after the customer here, there's a few bits. So I've got the booking date, seat number, things. So I could add a space in there, but then that's going to go after every bit of detail. So what I would probably do is here after the customer. So I'm going to do it, bring that down a bit. And I'm going to bring that down a bit and see what that does. So just going to see if that makes an improvement. And sometimes it's trial and error. You need to have a play with them. So let's go and so now that's just giving me a bit of a breakup between customers. So I've got the customer and then the data. And because it's the gap is before the customer, so you can see here it's quite clear, but it just makes it a little bit easier to read. Or you can do different things. So each of these fields, again, you can look at in the properties. There's lots of things you can change. You can change the font size and all sorts within here. It was mainly about the headings. So don't leave them as database field names. That's just, it looks impolite. It's not overly clear. Again, you can see here booking date. I could move that over a bit. I think I will. So just quickly to design view. And let's go for booking date. That one. Again, I'm using my keyboard keys rather than the mouse because otherwise I tend to move it up and down all over the place. And I then have to go into the arrange and align them nicely. But it's a little bit better. Dates over. And that was it for, that was just about tidying up reports a little bit more. Okay, so that was it.